Hello and welcome to the regular Sunday edition of Spurs Diet TTID Tottenham Till I Die. Got a great panel for you tonight, and we're going to talk mainly about Hoffenheim and the second Hoffenheim game for those who've seen it. Don't want to delve too much into transfers, we'll just skirt that. I've got a fun section if we run out of things to say. So without further ado, because I don't do long-winded intros, say hello to our guest. Rain, how are you?
Good. Okay.
Okay. Phil, how's it in Germany? How's it in Stuttgart? What's the weather like?
Hot as always, and yeah, I had a massive schnitzel today, which was nice, and I'm getting excited about the season kicking off.
What a player that schnitzel is, eh? What a player! Right, Kev, how are you? Good friend of the show. We was at the game together yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine, thanks. I had a few beers afterwards with the other Kev when we got back to Cheshunt, but yeah, no, it was
Was it a stagger home? Isn't it funny how you can take 10 minutes to walk to the pub, but half hour to walk home? You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah. So, and making his debut, probably first of many appearances, we've got Benji on here. His actual, I'll put his link up now. It is in the comments section already. You know me, I'll be well prepared. You can find Benji here, guys. So those of you watching on playback, we've already got 60 of you viewing this already, which is fantastic, right? And we haven't even started, right? So yeah, so you can find Benji there. Get over to him. He's got a new show. He does good content. I'm sure some of these guys guesting here will eventually appear on his show as well. Right. So moving on quickly. Where's the Hoffenheim banner, Adrian? Come on. Here we go. I was at the game. I know Kev was at the game. Was you at the game, Rain? Was you at the game?
Yeah.
Tell you what, 54,340 at the ground. I mean, that's what a 20 quid, 21 quid a ticket does for the club. You know what I mean? Yeah. Good atmosphere. Good family atmosphere, Rain, wasn't it?
It was a good day out. I mean, it was hot. It was hot.
Mm.
And it was good to see people. There was quite a few around me who were back there. Probably, and obviously see the rest of it for the Newcastle game. It was weird. Don't you think it was weird, Adrian, that they didn't sell out all the corporate? You know, there was that whole bank of unsold corporate. You would have thought, you know, that they would have got those filled a bit, which is a bit weird. But it was a decent. You know, sometimes friendlies, sometimes they're a bit because people don't really know what to do, but. It was good. It was good atmosphere.
A little bit about the opposition. I thought they played well, Hoffenheim. I know they lost by 3, but I thought that the stats would show something like similar later. You'd know more about the team, Phil, because you're in Stuttgart. I mean, in case people want to diss them, I'm not dissing them. I thought they played well, and it was just 3 quality goals that undid them. I mean, like, what's their sort of status in Germany in the Bundesliga?
It's an interesting one because Hoffenheim are obviously viewed as a bit of a, rags to riches club, which is obviously very, very apt, bearing in mind they come from a village with about 8,000 inhabitants, and they came up from the 6th league. I think they got basically 5 or 6 promotions in literally 5 years. They got bought by the owner of SAP, the software company. And they kind of made it up there. And obviously, at the beginning of their career, they in the Bundesliga, they did really well. And then they kind of dropped off for a few years back into kind of the lower table. Over the last couple of years, they've had a bit of a resurgence. They've got quite a good track record of buying players, not particularly big names recently, but, getting good value players that they end up selling for more or getting more out of. And they've got a really good manager, to be honest. He's an Austrian guy. He's kind of come through that Red Bull education system, I think. And he's got them playing good football. But I think we saw it in both games. They're very compact. They're difficult to play through. And they do like to press hard on occasion. And, they're not rollovers. They're a difficult team to beat. And I would say in the Bundesliga, obviously, apart from Bayern, who, generally will beat anyone in the Bundesliga, most other teams will view Hoffenheim as one of the more difficult games, to be honest.
Okay. Benji, welcome to the show as a debutant. This was the team we fielded. Kingscliff, Ray, Vanekas, Robertson, Bergvale, Tonali Moore, Gallagher, Tell, Richardson. These were the subs. Well, they only came on late anyway, but I'll mention them. And just for those that don't know, Miracle Adewole, he can actually play right back as well as being on or anywhere down the right hand side as it happens. Harry Byrne, yeah, I mean Malak Hardy you've seen. Takai very little of, but like, any of these having a part to play this coming season anyway. But okay. So just give us your take on the first half. I'll go to the panel with that on the first half. Then we talk about the much improved second half. How did you think we started, Benji?
Yeah, I mean, I thought we started well, and then we became a little bit tentative. And I will just say, by the way, thank you very much for having me on, Aid. I appreciate it. I've watched the show quite a few times now, and you always produce great content. So again, thank you for having me. Yeah, I thought we started quite well, but I thought we turned to being a bit tentative. I'd say probably 5-10 minutes in. I wouldn't say anybody particularly impressed me in that first half. I'll say this much. Andy Robinson had a much better showing overall in that game than he did against Chelsea. That was a bit of a shock, and that certainly left me a bit concerned with his ability to defend. But yeah, he was much better in that Hoffenheim game, without doubt. Again, like you said, it wasn't a great first half, really, was it? It was pretty poor from Spurs. I mean, I suppose you could pick out players like Tonali, who I felt were quite consistent throughout, but aside from him, until that second half, nothing really much happened, did it? I was a bit surprised how much we were being penned back. Did you guys notice that?
Kev, come to you then on that. I mean, what was your take on the first half? I thought Mikey Moore was quite bright actually in early.
Well, yeah, I was going to say I think Mikey Moore had a good first half. What I like about Mikey was when he got the ball, he attacked the defence. He wasn't turning around and passing the ball back every time like has been happening with some of our wingers. He would have a go and a go at he cut inside, he would go on the outside. And he doesn't favour the right wing, but you know he really sort of gave it a go. And yeah, I thought we did get penned back a bit. I thought we got penned back a bit in the second half as well. To be honest, we didn't really have sustained attacking all the way through. Well, you know, but then we're playing a team that hasn't played together a lot because there's a lot of new faces in there. There's a lot of young faces in there, and it was. I think Kinski had a good game. Good first half. He was punching the ball well from corners. Couple of good saves, and that it was. I think for the person in the first half that stood out for me was Mikey Moore. Tonali was in there and being quiet and doing the efficient stuff, I think. And, he was sort of doing what we were expecting him to do, I think, more than anything else.
Ryan, your take on the first half?
I agree with Benji. It was a bit disturbing how often they got into our box. But it's pre-season, right? You can't. You don't want to draw any competitive conclusions from pre-season. I'm struggling to separate first half and second half, if I'm really honest.
I was too.
And really, for me, if I wanted to sort of call out some things that I was really happy with, things that I learned, things that I didn't know like 10 days ago. Tonali is a nasty little. He is not afraid. He is not afraid to have a very sly and just the right side of the law niggle, and I'm all in. I'm all in for that. So that was we saw it against Chelsea as well. Was it Chelsea? We saw it. No, Getafe. We saw it against Getafe as well. He wasn't
Oh,
afraid
yeah.
to go to them and go, oi, oi.
That
Yeah.
team of Hannibal Lecters, yeah.
And tell them. The other big thing that I took away that I really liked, which is an interesting one because we don't actually expect him to play week in, week out, was I loved that Senesi at the back, was bossing people. You could obviously I'm behind the goal, and you can hear and see him directing where things should be, and that can only be a good thing, especially if we've got some younger players. If we've got one or two or three or four, more experienced heads who can give them a bit of guidance. There was one very noticeable time when Bergvall came all the way back into the penalty area, and he told him to go up. I don't want to pass it to you here. I want to pass it to you over there. And the more that they can get that kind of direction from our older heads, the better.
Your take on this, Phil?
I'll echo quite a lot of what's been said already. Some takeaways from me were generally that Tonali is different gravy. You can just see generally straight away the class that he's got. We've really missed the top class centre midfielder. Genuinely top class centre midfielder. I think ever since we lost Dembele, to be honest. I think since then we haven't genuinely had someone who can boss, the centre of the park. I know we've got Fernandez still to come in as well, but Tonali, you can just see that he's absolute different gravy. All of his touches and his positioning. He can dribble, he can kind of defend, he can sit back, he can make himself available for the ball. He can do everything. So that stood out for me. Like Rain said as well, though, Senesi, you could hear him on the TV actually, on the mic, directing. Van Hecker as well, to be fair. I think like on the TV, the commentators made a point that Van Hecker was very vocal, also with the rest of the players, and don't really want to talk about Romero too much, but they were kind of saying that in comparison to Romero sometimes, like really helping and trying to direct the players, including Archie Gray next to him, right, who's obviously hasn't really played right back for us. So, but what stood out for me though with Senesi and Van Hecker even more, again, their progressive passing, and that's I think where we bought them, because De Zerbi loves to have, well, basically all of his players, he wants to be able to progressive pass it forwards, right, into areas where they either dissect players or they open up space. And Senesi and Van Hecker made a number of passes right straight through where they got into a player of ours who had space to run forwards. So like that. Those are the takeaways from me really from that first half. Mikey obviously good touches, Tell a couple of good touches, but I think he was better in the second half. And Gallagher, I thought, was pretty average in the first half. Didn't really stand out for me at all. Bergvall, was pretty good, right, in that first half as well, to be fair. But I would say that sent that midfield four when Bergvall and Gallagher are in there, or three or whatever it is, it's not quite balanced in terms of who's doing what. And that's why Bergvall, I think, got into a bit of a tricky situation, I seem to remember, where he either lost the ball or, he kind of had to then, save himself, and he did it very effectively, right, by running the ball out of defence. But, I mean, there was a lot of positives, I think, to take overall, right, from the first and the second halves, right, if you look at the individual players and the new players that have come in, Robertson as well, tidy.
Kev, I said to you after the game, didn't I? I said they were getting a lot of the ball, right, and equal to us. And I said to you after the game, Bergvall was having one of his better games for Spurs, maybe his best game overall for Spurs. I couldn't help thinking it's always easy to be clever after the fact when you, in hindsight, when you dissect a game. But I'd rather have seen Gallagher alongside Tonali than Bergvall in front, because then if Bergvall's going to lose the ball, he's not going to lose it in a too critical position. We can get it back.
Yeah, I would agree with what Phil said. I mean, I think Bergvall had a good first half, but he does still tend to lose the ball a little bit in some dangerous situations, and he did do good recoveries. But I wouldn't disagree. When Bergvall was coming on at the end of last season, or even during last season, he was the most forward central midfielder, and he did a lot of the closing down of the opposition defence, and he created a couple of goals by robbing players high up and things like that. Now, and as you say, he was sitting a bit further back than Gallagher this time, and I think he's probably more effective than Gallagher if they're gonna play together, being that far forward. Whether that midfield three will play at all, as a three, we wait to see, because there's a lot of midfielders to come back in over time. So, but yeah, I thought Bergvall probably, or Berryvale, as the guy on Tottenham TV calls him all the time.
Bergvall, yeah.
I don't quite know what, but I thought he had a good game overall, to be honest. He got taken off.
Are you a fan, Benji? I think we're going to sell him. I'll be honest. I think he goes. But I mean, are you a fan?
Right, fellas, forgive me, and I understand your analysis, and that game. To be fair, look, you were right. Look, before Jed Spence was sold, I actually thought Tottenham rejecting a £45 million bid for Bergvall was the worst bit of business we've done in a long time. For me personally, with Bergvall, I feel like he's regressed since he's been at Spurs. There is undoubtedly a great player in there. I don't believe he's gonna fulfill his potential at Tottenham Hotspurs. For me, I feel like he needs to go to a more settled team.
Yeah.
It's the thing is, I don't know what type of midfielder he is, boys. I don't. That's the one thing that I feel like he doesn't have an identity as a midfielder. Like, is he attacking? Is he defensive? I feel like he needs to find himself a little bit and sort of decide what type of player he wants to be. But like I said, no doubt there's a player there. I just don't think we're going to see that at Spurs, personally.
Ryan, I mean, your take on Berryvale?
I mean, the first thing is it only the English who have to get the pronunciation of names right? Is it because I don't go around correcting my mates who aren't English?
Well, I can't get Kovacic or whatever his name is right
of the way to say English names. You just accept their accents for what it is. But it's we've literally just been watching Ted Lasso, and they went to Amsterdam, and everybody got corrected on how to say Johan Cruyff about 15 times. And it's just like I don't really. It feels like a very English thing. But anyway, it's a curiosity, because I would never dream of saying to one of my non-English speaking or native English speaking mates, no, you're saying that wrong. But Bergvall, I'm just going to say Bergvall. He is who he is. But my analysis of Bergvall has not changed. Good on the ball. Likes to look forwards, decent runner, situationally unaware, and I've seen it again and again. Against Forest last season, he came on in the second half, and I try not to get hung up on specific moments, but when I see it again and again and again, I try to lock one in so I can use it as an example. And against Forest, he came on second half. He was the one who was in the D of our penalty area. The ball was on their left, and he got drawn towards it, and then got passed around. And unfortunately, when he got drawn towards it, he left the guy who was just behind him who happened to be Morgan Gibbs-White, completely free in the penalty area, and Morgan Gibbs-White went on to score. And I see that again and again and again from Bergvall. That lack of situational awareness. You see it with all of the great central midfielders. Tonali's definitely got it. They've got their head on a swivel. And I think Bergvall could do that a little bit more.
Yeah, and inexperienced in decision making at times. He's definitely a talent. I think. Well, it's rumoured today. I read reports. Newcastle, Forest, and Newcastle interested again. We know that a lot of clubs now want to get some or all their business done this week before the season starts. We know there's still be work to be done after the season starts. Phil, you can give us a take on Bergvall. Rain's already talked about Senesi, but then you can give us your take on Van Heck, because I've been very impressed with him.
Sorry, Bergvall first, yeah, quick.
Yeah.
So I agree with Rain in terms of the fact I think he kind of has regressed, to be honest. When we first signed him, obviously he was very raw. We were the first biggish club, obviously, that he's played for, really, outside of his hometown club in Sweden. Everyone wanted him, didn't they, in Europe? Like Barcelona. We beat Barcelona, didn't we, essentially, to his signature. I don't want to say it, Thomas Frank kind of ruined Bergvall, but ever since kind of things went sour under Ange, right? That second half of that season. I know we won the trophy, but the results and the performances weren't there before that, right, in the league. Bergvall didn't really seem to kind of play such an important role. And obviously last season, he kind of just didn't, he was played out of position, and, he's got to the point where he's, wanted to leave, right, this summer at some point, especially seeing what De Zerbi wants and what he's brought in. And I think, in all honesty, I think he's a big talent still. If you look at his attributes, he's got a lot of positives. He can certainly run with the ball. He can get out of tight situations. He can dribble without being a crazy, skillful dribbler, but he can, go past players. But I agree with Rain as well. I think his situational awareness is really bad. It's certainly not at the Premier League level, let's say, at the moment, I would say. But those are things that maybe he can work on, right? At the end of the day, he's obviously got the talent. He's got the physical talent. He's got the, like you said, footballing talent. He's not a small guy either, is he? I think he's pretty, so he's a good size, right, for a midfielder. He's bulked out a bit as well, and maybe he still will. I just wonder again, probably for his career, it would make sense for him to move on, right, and go somewhere where he can start every week or start the majority of games and, probably keep learning, because I'm still not convinced that when we've got, obviously, Fernandez up to speed, Tonali, I know Archie Gray is at the moment kind of like our backup right back, but I'd still like to think that Archie Gray is going to get a game in midfield at some point, And then you've got Gallagher, who De Zerbi obviously rates at the end of the day. You got Madders coming back, who obviously clearly isn't ready yet. It's going to take him quite a while. But because of the lack of European games, that's the problem. We don't have enough matches this season. We're playing.
Maddison played today.
He did, but he looks
not very well though.
With the goal, wasn't he?
Yeah, not wrong actually. Yeah.
He's way off it. That was his first game in what, 14 months, 15 months. It's going to take him.
First start.
Yeah, first start. Sorry, I've got no issues with him coming off the bench. He can sit on the bench in the Premier League and come off and get minutes, but he's not going to be impacting big games in the Premier League starting as number 10 for the moment, or starting in a deeper role. That's going to take some time. So I don't know, if we get a bid that comes in still and it's maybe 70 million for Bergvall, are we going to accept it? I would probably say yes. But then again, Robert De Zerbi apparently doesn't want Bergvall to leave.
That's
and
why
Bergvall apparently doesn't want to leave either now. So maybe he stays.
Well, because he sweetened him. He's deliberately played him, isn't he? Because he wants to keep him. Like, Kev, I know you're a big fan of Berg. I mean, I think we all like the player, but he's not oven ready, is he? This is the problem we've always had at this club.
Well, he's not ready. He's still young, though, isn't he? I mean, he came to us as a 18-year-old. Was he 20 now? It takes a bit of time to get spatial awareness sometimes and see where you go. But if you criticise him for leaving a midfielder, well, where was the defence when that happened? Because I know on certain times the defence got pulled across, all four of them, leaving midfielders exposed in the area. I would class Bergvall more as a box. He's what we used to call a box-to-box midfielder. He's got the legs to go out there and churn up and down the field. I don't like him in our area, mind you, because he has got that tendency to either foul or give the ball away on the edge. And I much prefer him when he's further up the field.
Yeah.
Being able to influence stuff and close the other team down, because I think he does that very well.
And Kev, that Nottingham Forest moment, right, where he got tracked into the ball, absolutely. Do you know who was about 3 meters away from him? It was Christian Romero, and Christian Romero really should have been a little bit more aware of his young midfielder who was next to him and what.
It's always going to happen. It's always going to happen with that sort of thing, especially when we were struggling, and the defence wasn't playing well, really.
So this is consistent behaviour from Bergvall. I think it's just who he is. To be honest, I think he is. I'm not sure even with age it's going to come. I think it is. Unfortunately, just he's a midfielder who needs to be further up pitch.
Benji, give me. Go on.
No, I was just going to say, Kev, do you think Bergvall reaches his potential at Tottenham?
Well, I don't know, to be honest. Depends how much they play him. At the moment, because we brought in so many other midfielders, he's going to be much more restricted, as we've already said in this season. We only have the however far we managed to go in the Carabao and the FA Cup as being the extra games, and so that's it does restrict the amount of appearances people are going to have. However, having said that, if our injury record carries on as it has been, we
won't have any midfielders.
We might not have any midfielders. I mean, half of them still injured, aren't they? Yeah. So I think if he's still with us come the Brentford game, I suspect he'll be on the bench. But who knows, really? I mean, at the moment, I've got no idea what our starting 11 will be against Brentford, and if they continue doing it in number order, which they are going to do, I understand, when they first put out the teams, no one's going to know for at least 5 minutes what formation we're playing. So
it will be 4-2-3-1. De Zerbi always plays that. We'll get into De Zerbi ball in a bit, and I'll give my take on that. I mean, I want to discuss a player who's really impressed me, Benji. I mean, he might not have impressed you. I think Van Heck is a superb addition to this team. We don't take no credit off of no one.
No. Do you know what I'll say? I'll actually agree with Rain. We definitely learned he is a little bit spicy. And for me, that kind of stinks of captain material, I think Spurs could use that and a lot more of it, the dark arts done right. What do I think of Van Heck? Look, I tell you, that's some player, and his ability to pass is just unbelievable. It almost seems like throughout a couple of games that he's played, the game plan is pass to Van Heck. I mean, I don't know, if you boys watched all of the pre-seasons, but I can tell you, it certainly seemed like that was the plan. Van Heck's ability to pass from deep is unrivaled at the back, without doubt. Although, do you know what? Funny enough, I sit here and I think to myself, or I question myself, is he a total upgrade on someone like a Christian Romero? And I know you could say, look, the difference between the two is Romero's inconsistency problems compared to a Van Heck is night and day. Van Heck is always consistent. He's great with that. you know, and last season, if I'm not mistaken, he was at the very highest of heights when it came to line-breaking passes, which was unreal. My only concern with Van Heck is he was also top of the table for something else. Player errors leading to goals for defenders. He was also top of that list. But look, listen, from what I've seen of that kid, he could very well be something very, very special. I'm a big fan. I just hope he can fill Romero's boots. When Romero plays well, boys, I'm not particularly talking about when he plays crap, you know what I mean? Yeah, I just hope he can fill Romero's boots.
All right, I'm going to go through the chat. We've got 300 viewers, guys. I mean, this is amazing on a Sunday up there in the top left-hand corner on various platforms. If you like the content so far, you're staying with us. If you could please hit that subscribe button in the bottom right corner and give the video a thumbs up. I'm going to ask you to give the video a thumbs up because the last show we do, when I go back and check on YouTube, we had 819 or whatever his viewers, right? That's those that come and watch on playback, which is absolutely fantastic. And we really appreciate your support here at Spurs Diehards. But it would really help the algorithm if you can give the video a thumbs up. And up to you if you want to subscribe to the channel, obviously, but we hope you do that as well. With that, I want to go through the chat and we're going to go through the goals. Right, so where are we? Mark Taylor, evening, Mark. We'll see you about. Des Spurs, evening, Des. Mark said he's oversubscribed, Benji, mate. I've done it. I hope that it's to you. For the link. Big up, Mark, for doing that. We support each other in the community, you know, and fielding for the dopamine. I don't get that. Right. Hydra and panel and chat. Big up, Nate. Nate is a very good friend of the show. Big up. Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Yeah. Some of these people ain't got a bag of money. Holiday season, they're always different. Okay. Good evening, gentlemen. Big up, Hotspur Sam. Yeah. Yeah, Windows. Yeah, it's true. Henry wrong. TV1. It's the most official club approach with Tottenham. Yeah. Yeah, these Italian clubs, they do mess about when it comes to transfers. They always plead poverty. When they want to sell a player, they want to extort money. Yeah, so, yeah, Spurs have turned, they want a loan and Spurs have said no, and I agree. You want the goalkeeper, give us some money, right? Clause talks underway to get it done. Yeah, there's talks about others as well. We might skip over those quickly, though. I think most of the fan bases, the life force is draining out of them over this transfer window. Right. Good evening, gents. Evening, David. It's up from Detroit. Yeah, big up from Detroit. You should listen to our Friday show when we go for an American audience. It's on later, though. Chamber kind of. Yeah, he's an undoubted talent, mate. Oh, big up, Dan. Big up's done enough to prove he's good enough. Loses ball, can't pass. Dan has firm opinions. He doesn't mince his words. You got to give him that. Right. So, they look to give, like at the back four when everybody wanted to give it Romero to progress the ball. Even they're giving it to Van Heck, and he does. But at least he tries them out of her cross-angle balls as well, doesn't he? In fact, they can both do that. But I just think Senesi's, he hasn't played as much, and I just think he's like playing within himself at the moment, Senesi.
And it was the first time that back line had played together, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, I'm not worried about them playing together against Brentford in case they rest in VDV. I mean, it's a squad game.
But let's be clear, his pings are still not at Toby level.
No.
What, Van Heck?
Yeah.
I don't know, Rain. I don't know, mate.
Toby's crossfield pings are absolutely.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, to be fair, they were.
I mean, maybe his forward passes into the midfield, really, really, really good. Can't really compare. But I'll always look back at Toby's, crossfield over to Sonny. The amount of times he hit those on the nose.
I'll tell you where Van Heck improves on Romero for me. He doesn't slow the game down to walking pace when he gets the ball. Romero, that used to bug me. Something rotten. Romero stood on the ball, didn't do anything with it, moaned because no one was moving that he could pass to. Van Heck makes the pass to make the moves. Romero didn't do that.
Right, we're going to go through the goals. I'll come back to you, Rain. 35 minutes. At that time in the stadium, we were yearning for a goal. Those of us that are there now, because hang on, when's a goal going to come? And when it came, it was a good goal. Actually, I think I missed out. Tonali had a play in this, Rain, as well.
Yeah, it was Tonali. It was Tonali in the centre who then sort of pushed it out wide to Robertson, and I can't remember whether he took a touch and then, but I think he might have just hit it first time, which was fantastic. Because the amount of times last season our players took one or two touches, and then in the Premier League you don't get another touch. It's so quick that the fullback or the midfielder is on you, and you can't get a cross in. So I think, if I remember rightly, it was the first time, he set himself up and crossed it in. Beautiful cross. And Richie, I see so much polarised opinion about Richarlison, right? And I try to present a balanced view of things. And Richarlison did what he does best. Instinctive, first time finish in the box. And that's what he does best. That's what he can do. We saw the worst of Richarlison a little bit later on, where he fell over and injured himself injured his shoulder. Competing with one of the. That's the worst of Richarlison, when he can't control the ball outside of the box, but inside of the box, the guy can put the ball in the back of the net. So fantastic Robertson cross, and it's going to be great to see crosses coming from the left and the right this season from our fullbacks.
It'd be great to see people in the box as well.
Well, absolutely. Does this mean that I'm not going to be able to talk about our boy Mikey Moore?
Talk about him. Go on, talk about him now.
Well, for starters,
I'm going to bring his 2 goals up, but I mean,
for starters, I don't think Mikey is going to make it as a winger in the Premier League. I just don't think he's quick enough.
He's never been quick.
Exactly, he's never been quick. And we've got, but I don't know if he's going to go to Cologne, but we saw on Saturday just what kind of quality this guy has in and around the box and with the ball at his feet.
Yeah,
I think it's easy to underrate just how skillful his goals were, because he made them look easy. And that in itself is a talent. He made those goals look easy, but they were not. They were composed and perfect finishes. The first one and the second one. So he needs to be playing in the 10, whether it's for us, whether it's for Cologne. I think for his development, that's where he's going to become a professional footballer, wherever that, whether that's Premier League, whether that's abroad. I think what we saw on Saturday was that he's not quick enough on the wing.
I've seen him probably play over 100 games, and his balance and the way he can switch his weight and cut inside. He hasn't got that dribbling pace of a fast winger like a Doc or a Semenyo, nothing like that. But what he's got is the ability to shift his weight and come inside. And he loses players. You see him lose Hoffenheim players yesterday. He's got that ability. We can get too magnetically attracted to pace alone, right? It's end product. If you're going to be in a team, you've got to have end product in his position. I believe he's got it. He's going to go out on loan. He's not staying. The advantage we've got with him now, they had this agreement with Cologne, but bear in mind, as Phil will know, I'll come to Phil next, that the Bundesliga doesn't start till the 28th. So if we need to play him against Brentford, we can play him against Brentford. Phil, staying on the goal, yeah, it was a neat finish by Richarlison, as you say, as Rain alluded to, when he doesn't have to think about anything, like he will score goals, and I don't see him going out unless we get a replacement.
Richie does get goals. You know, if he plays enough games in a half decent team, he will end up scoring goals. It's just the chances that he misses, or the opportunities, maybe the positions he gets into, where he should be putting the goal away. I think there was a chance yesterday where there was a ball that came across, I think from Mikey Moore actually, but I might be wrong. It might be an Archie Gray from the right hand side, and he should have been putting that ball away. He should have been tucking it into the bottom corner, and he completely missed it. Do you remember that one? Like the ball just went past him.
I've seen so many misses, Phil.
Dude, like, you know, it's just, but that's what separates, you know, like really top level strikers from, you know, someone like Richarlison, who is obviously good enough to play in the Premier League, right? There's no doubt that Richarlison he's a professional player, right? At the highest level. He plays for Brazil. He's played for Brazil. You know, he's played so many hundreds of games probably now in the Premier League, right, as a whole. He's got something to offer, but, you know, for us and for what we need and for De Zerbi, there's just something lacking there at the end of the day. But yeah, I think he's going to stay, right? Because, you know, number one, he doesn't really want to move on himself. He's not obviously pushing for a move. So his agent's not being very active as well, probably in the background. And number two, there's not that many teams coming in by all accounts and, you know, trying to get us to do a deal. And, you know, I think that he'll probably end up staying. However, there's obviously rumours saying that we do want to get another striker in. And I would imagine that we would prefer to keep Solanke over Richarlison. You know, so, you know, do we have to move him on? Would we loan him maybe somewhere with an obligation? I can't say that. I mean, I would rather obviously lose him at the end of the day. But look, as Rain said, when he doesn't have to think about it, when the ball's played, you know, when he's got a ball played into him to finish, then he can do that very well, actually, right? And but you need more than that in the Premier League, right? There's a lot of goals where the striker just has to create, you know, maybe a yard of space or get away from a player and then get a shot away, and that's just something that Richie too often can't do. His heading isn't as good as it should be. He missed that sitter, didn't he, against was it last week?
Yeah,
you know, where you know he's got to be making that, and yeah, just overall it's just not quite enough. So, you know, he'll get goals, but it's just not what we need, really.
I admire you for being so kind-worded, truly. Just say it for what it is. The guy is an absolute donkey. How he's a professional footballer, I do not know. He can't hold up the ball. His touch, oh my God. He can't. His touches are awful. He can't hold up the ball. He can't pass.
Trampoline touch.
He's so bad, boys. I can't. I'm so. Listen, again, I admire how nice you're being, and I feel like you're a long-suffering Spurs fan that's trying to. It's going to be. He's not that bad, but boys, he's a donkey. He's not a pigeon. He's a donkey. I'm sorry. I don't see what he does well. To be fair to you, Aid, and yourself, look, you are right. When he doesn't have time, he does things instinctively fine. He does. I mean, good Lord, do you remember last season when he scored those two absolute worldies? He's got that in his locker, but I'm going to be honest, when I watch things like that, I just sit there and I think, is that just pure blind luck? You know, if you're there often enough, will it happen for you? I don't know. Fellas, for me, I can't watch another season with that man at this club. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to butt in. I apologise.
To give a bit of justice to him, and none of us rate it, right? Fair enough. But are we seeing a fresher, sharper, injury-free Richarlison? But it isn't enough, is it? It's not enough, is it?
No, he's still got a 5 meter first touch. He's still got a 5 meter
we've said this all last season, or even ever since he's been here. He's got the touch of a concrete wall, basically. Or as one of our colleagues used to say, he's like a Subbuteo player. The ball just bounces off of him. And there was times in that first half I was thinking everyone's been taking, because the ball's bouncing off of everyone, they've all been taking lessons from him and how to control the ball. And I'd agree with Benji. His control is absolutely hopeless. He can't hold the ball up. And then every now and again he'll do a wonderful one-toucher, and you think, well, you can do it, but then he does it maybe once every 3 games or something like that. But he's finishing, yes, when it comes straight to him, and he can just hit the ball, great. He's a disruptor. We know that he's a bit of a shithouser, isn't he? To use that term, and bringing him on at the end of a game, if we still got him, that could work. But at the moment, we haven't got anyone else to stick on as a centre forward. Even though yesterday I thought perhaps he even forgot he was a centre forward at times, because he was miles behind the ball when Michel was going down the line. He was about 20 yards behind him. Not even trying to get up.
Yeah, I'll come to you next, Benji. I'm going to go through the chat and we'll go through goal 2. But we got like 340 viewing us on various platforms. Look, guys, if you can see that red subscribe button in the bottom right hand corner. We can't. We're in the show, but if you could hit the button and subscribe to the channel, it only takes a second. Really helps the algorithm. If you subscribe to the channel, even better. We've only been going 2 years, but we're doing fine. But like with your help, we can progress. And a big up to everyone who's watching on playback. We'll go through the chat and then we'll talk about second goal. And like I guess you can comment on things in the chat if you see something you want to comment on as well, right? I like to involve the chat because they bother to come and listen to us and watch us. So David Toll, big up David. Covers good covers, yeah. Probably get plenty of assists, but hopefully it doesn't cost us defense fleets. Well, you're going to get jeopardy in any games. All teams, even the weakest teams, are going to cause you problems from corners and free kicks at times. But yeah, Liverpool had this conversation with their fullbacks, didn't they, about being, what do you want? It does seem that fans want wing backs that are actual wingers as well. But I mean, he can defend. What we got here? Yeah, sort of like Robbo starting. I know De Zerbi likes your doggy, but if you can get your doggy fit, I'm a big fan when he first come. But we're waiting to see on your doggy's future, because there's rumour that Roma are in for him. So that's today I looked at. I mean, these are tenuous links, guys. I'm not an IDK. I don't know. I'm no football expert. I've just watched a lot of football over the years, and I scout videos, right, as well. So that's all I do, basically, and I try to bring you facts about the game.
Just a quick one, Adrian. Is Udogie actually, is he in full training, or is he injured? Because I haven't seen anything really about it.
Yeah. He just keeps picking up these niggling injuries, and I think De Zerbi's gone right. I mean, I'm open this. I can't speak for De Zerbi, but I just think De Zerbi's right. I think he's done the right thing with VDV, with Maddison, with Udogie. He's going look, I can get by without you guys. We've got cover. I'm going to make sure you get enough time to rest properly and heal. So but he wasn't involved today. So Udogie's not starting the weekend. We can talk about the weekend's game later if we have time, right? But I think Robertson starts against Brentford. It's a question.
I've seen him in no training videos. But
no, neither have I. What's it? Richie clearly, and he dives as often at the Olympic swim, but he scores 12. He earns it. He might earn his ways. He's not good enough. To me, my opinion, he's nowhere near good enough. I've seen so many top strikers at this football club, And on Solanke, actually, just throw this out there, because I bet people know I like to put facts in. His stats aren't awful, if I can find it. And you can.
I think his first season he scored 16 for us, and you got to remember under Ange he was playing at CDM pretty much.
He's taken a lot of stick, and I get that, because look, the fans have used a shotgun to blast at everything in the club because we feel 17th, and I don't blame them for that. Everyone's become a target, right? But this is the actual stats that he's got. He's got 19 goals and 8 assists in 63 appearances. That's not awful. 27, 1 in 2.5 or something like that. It's not an awful GA, but I'd want more. So I hope Deserby Ball will provide that, you know. But anyway, I like that. We don't really talking about that, right? So while I'm going through the comments still, right. Russell, big up, mate. Rain's here. That was good, yeah. Do like them, right? Let's move through. Yeah. There's no one on this panel, including me, is fan of Richie, right?
In many ways, his first touch outside the box is just like his first touch when he's taking a shot. It goes 5 meters. It's like he's only got one way.
Yeah, he just misses to. I mean, I thought Werner was worse. He used to make me laugh. I mean, the misses, the big chance he'd miss. He'd get the goal in a good scoring position and then drag the ball away from the goal mouth. It just never made sense with Timo. I mean, think, what are you doing? Oh yeah. We see this. Yeah, I mean, Kev comment about this after the game where we meet. I mean, like we have a regular meeting place, which is actually where entrance 22 is. There's a double staircase, and we're tucked under the staircase. Usually the South Dorset Spurs and a few others that come along. So any of you coming to games, if you've got our phone and ring us, we always welcome to meet up with us. Yeah, okay. Yeah, right. So Benji has come to you.
Yes.
Swigs, unfortunately, we've already signed Dubravka, and we can't sign another non-homegrown goalkeeper, unfortunately. No. If we hadn't signed Dubravka, then trying to get in Martin, although would Villa sell Martinez to us is another question, you know. But
he wouldn't sit on the bench either, though. Kinski's been clearly picked as the number one right now. Martinez isn't going anywhere to sit on the bench.
And Austin's not awful, to be fair. I mean, he was under 21 goalkeeper. He's about 27 now, I think. So. Benji, take us through this, mate. 59 minutes. Good goal. It
was a wonderful goal from Tottenham. It was a well-worked team goal with some solo efforts that made it so much better. Look, listen, it started with Tonali. Tonali pumped it into Tell Tell, and I'm pretty sure Tell laid it off to Robbo for that first time cross. Pinpoint accuracy from Robbo, and I think that's why we've got him in the team for situations like that. His ability to cross is second to none in that team.
That's the first goal you're talking about, isn't it?
It's the first goal.
Because
the first goal. I thought it was the second one.
No, that was the
first.
That was the first one. This was the second
one was when Tell danced past a couple of players in the
right. Yeah, I'm with you.
Right
okay.
And then he cut it across the.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Okay. No, look. Yeah, that second goal again was a great goal. Great solo effort from Tell. I'm going to be honest. When he first received the ball, I thought, well, this isn't going to go anywhere. But somehow he danced his way through two players. Got his head up nicely. You know, if you watch that back, you see he really did get his head up. He was aiming that cross, which is great. It's something I don't see a lot from Tottenham players half the time. Got the cross through, and Mikey Moore, look, albeit I don't think Mikey Moore did a great deal during the game. I don't think he offered us a lot at right wing, and to be fair to the kid, he's not a right winger, so I don't want to shit on him too much. But look, the instinct and the sharpness for Mikey Moore to just dart in front of his man and put that away so clinically, absolutely fantastic without doubt. But yeah. Great goal. Great. In all fairness, they were all pretty good goals, weren't they, really?
Yeah.
But massively stood out to me. That goal was great.
Rain, your take on it? I thought he showed good striker's instinct, but he's a natural goal scorer, and he's composed as well, Mikey Moore.
And you know, not against a second-rate defence either. You know, he did his defender just like Benji said. You know, the instinct to time that little run perfectly. To get to where he needed to be was fantastic. But a shout out for Tell. He was operating on the edge. Tell likes to operate on the edge. You know, you're never sure if he's going to lose the ball or if he's going to come out with it. and the concern that we've got with Tell is output. It's not application. Even in that first little stint when he was on loan, Adrian, and a lot of the players down tools while we went for the Europa, that he came on loan and he put in a shift. He was the one player during the Premier League, and I only go to Premier League games because of family circumstances here. I can't go midweeks, and he was the one player who was really putting a shift in every Saturday or Sunday. The output on Saturday, the output yesterday, that cross for Moore was perfect. And actually, I know we're going to come to the third goal, but for the third as well, it was perfect from Tell. So if Tell can add that little bit of last bit of class, then he's gonna get a lot of GA. I know you hate it, Adrian, but he's gonna get a lot of GA this season.
Phil, there are two Tells, aren't there? When I look at him, there's the Tell that receives his ball back to goal and he's usually marked by two men. Like in the first half, you see it.
Yeah.
And then you see the better Tell when he's given the ball quickly and he's 1v1. Exactly. Then we see a more dynamic, more attacking Tell. And you know that 9 times out of 10 when he's 1v1, he's not passing that ball back. And he doesn't give up. He'll keep taking his man on. And like he got his just rewards yesterday with 2 assists. And you can comment on Tell on that and on the third goal.
Good is there something to be said, Adrian, that he it looks like he knows the difference between when he's double marked and needs to pass the ball away, which I see a lot of fans getting upset with. But if you're double or triple marked, actually maybe the best option is to pass it off, because if you're double marked, that means somebody else.
You create space by doing that. If you move the ball quickly, which we've not been guilty of last season, because our midfield and up front three were pants, right? So I agree. If you can draw 2 players away, there has to be a space elsewhere.
And if he can be again, I think the situational awareness is a vastly underrated talent and skill. And if he's got that, if he understands I'm double marked and triple marked, therefore I can shift it quickly and not try to do something fancy, or have the awareness this is 1-on-1 like he did for the second goal, and I can go for it, then that's only a good thing. I'll just say here he did his work here, but when I got home, I had a look at this goal, and it was better when I saw it when I got home, because I didn't realise just how little space he had to make that pass into Mikey Moore. Yeah. It was millimetre perfect between the defenders. It was actually really, really, really good. It was as good as a Beckham, 40-yard on the money cross. It was inch perfect, and with the right pace for Moore to do what he needed to do with that third goal. But I've said enough.
Right, Phil, your take on the goal. And I mean, as you're in Germany, before we got him for about 30 mil, I mean, he had to compete with Kane up front. I wouldn't have scanned him out like I did with Odebert and all that when they're playing for the French under-21s. Mind you, they've got some great under-21s. I mean, and they look superb when I watch videos of them there. Well, how was he viewed in Germany with Bayern?
Look, when he left Bayern, a lot of their fans, or I would say the majority of the Bayern fans, didn't want Tell to leave. Actually, it was only really because of Elise coming in, and at the time as well, they had, they knew that Lennart Carl was coming through, and obviously Kane was already there, wasn't he? And the other lad, God, I can't even think of his name.
Diaz.
Yeah, Diaz as well. You know, like it just turned out in the end that he wasn't going to get enough games, right? When they're obviously buying players of that caliber in. But, you know, Tell played a lot of games for Bayern, really. I think he played like 70, 80 games for them. One thing that Tell did do very well at Bayern is that when he got into one-on-one situations, running into space, he did very well. You know, he got past players, he scored goals by cutting inside. He's obviously proven that for France as well. You know, under 21s, he's scored a lot of goals by cutting inside and then, you know, putting it in the corner. You know, and actually what Rain said is fully accurate. You know, I think with Tell, he wastes a lot of energy sometimes, or he has done, let's say, in the last 18 months by, in situations where likely there's no real chance or even point of him trying to do something. He should rather lay it off quicker and then run into space, right? Because I tell you what, whenever Tell gets the ball with space to run, there is an output from him. There is a genuine output for him. And under Thomas Frank, both of our wingers, you know, even, do you remember Kudus? You know, the amount of times when Kudus is getting the ball into feet, there's like two people on him. He can't do anything. And he was being forced to kind of create something in those positions. And Tell was the same. You know, if you're any winger and the way that your game is being dictated, that you're going to get a lot of balls or even the majority of balls played into feet, you know, with people on you, you know, backs to the wall. It's going to be tough, but then you have to then work out when do you pass it back and who do you pass it to? And where's that triangle then, right? For it to get the return ball. And that's something that De Zerbi, and I'll use the cheesy term again, but De Zerbi ball. This is what De Zerbi ball is. You could see it in all of the games this weekend. All these little triangles, right? These little one touches into the man. He's got someone on him. He'll ping it just off. He'll just tap it off, then quickly across. The way that De Zerbi wants to play and build up using the progressive passing is that Tell would, you know, lay it off quick. He'll spin and try and go into space, or someone will pull another player across. And if that's what we're talking about here, then Tell, he has the talent. You know, he's still also only, 20 or 21 maybe now, Max? You know, he's highly rated by France under 21. He still starts for France under 21. And you know how many young talents.
Oh, yeah, they've got some talent,
They got the most talent in Europe, probably, right? In terms of certainly attacking talent coming through. So look, you know, a lot of people doubted Tell last season, and probably there was some saying, you know, we should sell him. Obviously, he was out of favour at the end, wasn't he? Before kind of De Zerbi came in, and again probably changed his mind before De Zerbi won him over, you know, with his probably man management and vision and everything else, positivity, you know. And now Tell, for me, is someone who also does have the ability on occasion maybe to play centrally if he has to. You know, he can play on the right as well. He played on the right last season when he scored that goal against Leeds, I think. Right? Where he broke through. He plays on the right for France under 21 sometimes. So
scored a banger against Man United. Get us back.
He's a player that we should be keeping. And by the way, I also agree with Rain in terms of Mikey Moore. You know, I do think that Mikey Moore can play as a winger in the Premier League, because for me, he can almost play a bit like a wide version of Jack Grealish. You know, so he'll cut in off the left as an example, right? He can play that role, but I do see the merit in playing Mikey as more of a number 10, you know, like kind of Cole Palmer-y kind of player, right? Moving forward. And he has the talent.
Everything went through him at Rangers. Everything went through him at Rangers when you watch the games up there. But moving on to you, Kev, my critique of Tell is he tries too hard and lacks composure. And you see him, Kevin, we've seen him blast balls over the net. We know he's going to score belters because he'll have a go, but just the composure thing, which I think is just trying too hard, basically.
Well, I don't know. I mean, as I think I said after the game when we were just chatting after the game, he was right in front of me in that second half and when he was going down the line, and he got a pretty lucky deflection to take it past the second defender. But after that, as I said, he looks up, picks out Mikey Moore, and Mikey Moore's finish to me was reminiscent of some Brennan Johnson, I think, on the far post coming in and finishing the ball off for that one. But I think Tell, he grew into the game again. He didn't the first half. He was, I think, I couldn't really see him because he's right over the other side of the pitch. But you seem to say he was doubled up on quite a lot. But in the second half, he definitely, he was running the game down that left hand side, and he was going both ways. He was going down the line for the 2 goals, went down the line, knocked it across. He was cutting inside to try those right-footed curlers into the top corner. They didn't quite work this time, and I think my take is, I know I said I didn't know who was going to be starting 11 next weekend, but I'm almost certain I would say no matter who we might manage to buy during this week, if anyone, he will start on the left wing against Brentford, and Robertson will be left back, and their partnership together is starting to grow. And that, as we were saying about the Zerbi ball and the triangles, if Robertson's there to get the ball back from Tell and then put in the cross, or Tell can go past and put in the cross, then we're going to get that feed from the left wing so much more than we were last 2 seasons, really. And I think those two together, how their partnership works in this early part of the season could be crucial.
Can I just add to that? I think we should not underplay the impact that signing a few older, and Robertson certainly falls into the older category, older players to go alongside these young players who, whether Spurs fans want them in our club or not, they are in our club, right? They're going nowhere. That's, whether we should have signed them or not is now a moot point, because we have signed them and they are in our club. So, having Robertson, yeah, absolutely, Kev, mate, you're right. Having Robertson there to Tell, it's the same thing I was saying with Senesi and Bergvall. Having these older heads to be able to do some mentorship with some of these younger players who are at our club is actually it's a really smart bit of business that they've done.
Right, I want to come to Benji. Benji, you can give us a take on your goal. Just one doubt on me about Tell is if it's looking odds on now, we're getting Savino, whether fans want him or not, right? It's irrelevant, really. If we get the play, I'm sure we'll all back him anyway. Is Tell now going to feel threatened and want to leave this football club? Because Savino's not going to sit on the bench if he comes, is he?
For sure. Look, sorry, throat's gone. Look, Tell. Oh God, I don't even know how to start with Tell. Do you know what it is, right? For me, boys, I look at players like Tell, I look at players like Mikey Moore, and they are, well, he could do a job. He could be all right. This is Tottenham Hotspur. I don't want to be talking about players that could do a job. I want to be talking about players that are going to get us up that league table. And Mikey Moore and Tell, they're not going to be doing that for us. Look, I'll admit, Tell has improved. I'm not going to sit here and shit on the guy completely. He's improved. But the level he's playing at against the Hoffenheim, is that his level? Because he doesn't produce performances like that when it matters. And for me, that is what matters. So as much as he has improved, I still don't think he's there yet. And I would like to think he's not that arrogant to understand that better players need to come in his position, because he does not produce what we need most of the time. So if Savino does come in, which I don't think he will, personally. I mean, look, I know, I listen, but Age, you laugh, but I've heard every week we're signing him this week. He's in 100. He's coming in.
Well, we're not going to have a Savino discussion. I think it's been bad.
I know. But look, if he does come in, right, as unlikely as I think it is, if he does come in, I would like to think Tell will know his place. I think it would be incredibly arrogant of him to not think, okay, fair enough. Because at the end of the day, the guy hasn't produced, and we've stuck with him. Whether that was the right or wrong thing to do from Tottenham Hotspurs, we've stuck with the guy. So for me, I'd like to think that, yeah, if a better player like Savino a better player for me, like Savinho, comes in, that Tell would know there is a pecking order.
Right, I'm going to just go through the chat. It's not many. Yeah. Dave Kingsley's done all that can be asked of him. I've been impressed. Well, he hasn't done anything wrong, is he? But you need a bigger sample. He finished the last season well, and he started the pre-season all right. But we still need a bigger sample. He's a good goalkeeper. So whether he has a future as our number one or number two or whatever, do we think being put against the wall, Judge? Yeah, I mean, I see. I mean, I'm not going to get in the ring with Deserbi. These guys are football coaches. I see Tell more as an inside forward than I do as a winger. I think he'd be more effective centrally because he'd be on goal and have more vision of goal instead of cutting in and trying to get shots off and blast them over the bar. But I mean, I don't know what you guys think on that.
I don't think he's got the composure.
He hasn't. No, he hasn't.
Be a centre forward. You look at how Mikey Moore took his goals.
Big up, Jose.
Right? And you look how Mikey Moore took his goals, and he has got composure. He has got that. Mikey Moore's second goal, the third. For the first was a brilliant example, as Benji said, of timing that little run to get in ahead of the defender. The second was a brilliant example of receiving the ball, tight touch, in direct contrast to the way that Richie, does his first touch, and then just a simple shot into the back of the net. I'm 100% with you on Tell. If somebody could get in his head and just slow him down by about 10%, you'd get about 30% better output from him. Right? Sometimes spinning really, really fast is not better. Sometimes you need to slow something down and you get a better result.
Right, I'm going to come to you, Benji, and then Kev, right, on the stats, right? Because these are revealing. Hoffenheim finished 5th in the Bundesliga. There are no mugs, as Phil will allude to, because, like, these were the stats, right? I normally go in right in depth when we're actually playing a proper league game. I'll give you more than this, more information. Possession 53-40. Yeah, we can agree with that. Shots each, we had 3 on target, they had 5. We had 10 shots each on target inside the box. We had 6, obviously, on target, 7. Duel 6, fouls 6, 13, corners 2, last 4. Now, this is where it gets interesting for me. This is what I won't pick up with on stats. Clearances, right, which showed Hoffenheim were no mugs. We had 20 to their 9. Interceptions, we had 1 to their 8. Right, so they are telling stats, right, that can't be ignored. I mean, fair play to Hoffenheim. I thought if it wasn't 3 quality goals, they were good opposition for us at this stage in the thing, Benji. Yeah, I think they were good opposition to have.
Do you know what? Yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly. Hoffenheim really gave a good showing of themselves. I think if they had any ounce of quality up front, we would have been in serious trouble. Do you know what I mean? This is one of them. But I look at those stats, and do you know what that says to me, lads? We've got a very poor front line. And again, I've been saying this since pre-season begun. We're doing everything right, aren't we? I think as a team, we're doing everything right. It's just that final third. And this sounds like a very familiar story for the last couple of years, So, look, at the end of the day, I think Hoffenheim did a good job. But again, like us, didn't have a great deal up front. And if they did, and I suppose I agree. I guess it was good opposition for us at this stage. I just personally would have liked to have seen our full first team against them. That would have been more interesting. But no, I agree. They gave a good showing, to be fair, Aid.
Yeah. Kev, I mean, they hit the bar. Kingsley made a few decent saves, didn't he? So if they'd have came out with a draw, I wouldn't complain. It still would have been a good workout.
Yeah, I think Kingsley did well. I mean, as it says there, they had 5 shots on target, didn't score, and we had 3 shots on target and scored all 3. Or is it the other way around? Sorry, we had 5 and they had 3. We didn't really test their goalkeeper. I mean, I can't remember him having to make a really good save at any any point. But that, as we said, our centre forwards or our centre forward yesterday just wasn't really good enough, even though he scored a goal, which seems a bit churlish to say maybe because he scored, but we all know what we think of Richarlison at the moment. But yeah, it was a good workout. Hoffenheim didn't come in to lay down and roll over, did they? For sure, and they pinned us back quite a lot. I thought in the second half, especially, we didn't really have sustained attacking at any point. Where we were really putting them under the cosh. It was as if we were saying, "Oh, look, let's sit back a bit and see how we cope with them coming onto us sometimes." But yeah, it was a good enough run out for sure. But it all starts in earnest in 6 days' time, doesn't it? So
yeah, Phil, I'll come to you and then Rain. Yeah, I mean, corners 2-4 clearances and interceptions. That tells a lot. And I'm not counting this when I'm at a game. I want to enjoy a game of football. I don't want to strain my brain trying to take everything that's happening all over the pitch for 90 minutes.
Yeah, look, again, Hoffenheim were dangerous, right? And if they had genuinely a top striker, then they could have put us, 1 or 2 goals even down, right, in that first half. When they broke through on numerous occasions. I did think we got better as the game went on. The second half as well. I know there was a period where they had a bit of possession again, but look, again, I mentioned it before. They did finish 5th, right, and they could have finished even higher last season. And their manager has been there for 2.5 seasons, I think. He's got a settled 11. They have bought a couple of new players, but it's pretty much the same 11 that they finished the season so well on. So when they turn up, they are going to be a well-drilled team that knows what they're doing. And, that back line that we played has never played before. A lot of them made their debut at the Lane. That midfield has never really played before like that. Mikey Moore was playing, as well. So, look, they don't really know where they're moving properly, on the pitch. So, it's tough. But, we had the quality to win 3-0. And that will only keep getting better under De Zerbi, right? The more they play together, the more, positive experiences on match days they get together. We are going to improve on things like that. And when you get that first choice midfield going as well, once you get, Fernandez in there, once you maybe sort the number 10 position out, if we do still strengthen with a Savinho or even a Gakpo or whoever, and we then play Mickey as well. And obviously Porro hasn't played a single preseason game, obviously, for coming back late, but Porro is a big addition, right? I think there's going to be less chances for opposition to break through as much as maybe Hoffenheim did. Because don't forget, Porro, he also, under De Zerbi, he kind of plays a bit that inverted role, or he can play that inverted role as well, right? So he's going to come into midfield and potentially mop up, some situations as well. So, and then Kudus as well, right? So there's lots of things to come, and as was said, I think it was the perfect workout for what we needed now. Just to kind of give us a really, really good couple of games, and even the second game, right, at Hotspur away. I mean, they played a lot of the same players that played on the first day, and the reason for that is that's pretty much their first team, and they want to get them playing all together already ahead of the cup game, which is this weekend.
So they've got cup games, are they? Because I checked, I thought, when's their league start? Because I was thinking of the Mikey Moore situation when he goes to Cologne, right? So, but it is the 28th as their league starts. But they've got
that's the first Bundesliga game. But in Germany, they always play the first round of the cup the week before. And it's different from the FA Cup. Here's your pub trivia.
Yeah, but it must help with the pre-season, really, that cup game. You've got to play your strongest team you want to get through and all that. So.
The interesting thing is if you're in the Bundesliga, in the first Bundesliga, it's automatic that you get drawn away from home. And it's also generally automatic that you'll play a non-league team or at least a third division or lower team. So all of the big teams in the Bundesliga will have an away game in a tiny stadium against part-timers just to give them a payday and give them obviously one of the biggest days in their history, which I think is quite cool actually. But they always do it like that.
Ryan, you got anything to add to the stats I brought up? And then we're going to do the fun section. We're not talking about transfers tonight, right? So, fun section. And I want you in the chat to join in the fun section. I'll go for it once you're there. It's 5 questions to the guests. Right. So, Kev's done it before. So start thinking, Kev, you know what it is. I think Phil might have done it before, but
Oh yeah.
I think you're missing one very important stat.
Go on.
We didn't have any injuries.
Yeah.
Really, really, really critical and vital.
Good point.
I've got a slightly different take from Philip. Slightly different take. I think what this weekend has shown is just how strong and flexible our midfield options now are. So, you know, we've spoken about Bergval's suitability to play in that double pivot. But I don't, you know, Gallagher is clearly capable. So is Bentancur. Great to see Fernandes get a run out today. And Tonali is clearly, for me, a step above the lot. So we've now got in that central midfield sort of a real set of options for the engine. But what it's also exposed, I absolutely make Benji right on this. It absolutely exposed how light we are up top. I mean, today, I don't know if you're going to talk about today, but today we had no front three out at all. We played Ajayi, Luca Williams-Barnett, who, let's remember, is 17, although he's a lad.
Nice goal.
And was it Maddison or Sarr as the 9? I'm not 100% sure, but
I think they swapped around.
Yeah, but to be honest, Kev, I don't think they knew who was playing 9 at any one particular moment. And who can blame them? They're not. You know, it's a lot of people talk about footballers as though they should be able to go and do this and go and do that. But at the end of the day, if you played in a particular, there's a reason why we get them to play in a particular position for 10 years. And that's because it becomes instinctive. And the instinctive is what makes them look so quick a lot of the time. Because they just do what they need, what they know how to do. The other thing is, I despair at Archie Gray being played at right back. I think he's completely wasted. I don't think he's not a right back. Obviously, he can play there. He's technically competent, but he's completely wasted there. And the sooner we can get a specialist right back in Porro on there, just like we had with Robertson on Saturday on the left hand side, the better. So. No injuries, but the 2 days showed where we're strong and where we're light.
Rain, can I ask you what you make of Archie Gray being made captain?
Yeah, it is, and it's been consistent, isn't it?
Yeah, it has been.
Through pre-season, it's been very consistent. Because who said to, was it somebody who's, I can't remember if I remember it was here or another or on the earlier stream that I was on, but somebody at some point said Tonali.
Yeah, I've said Tonali before, but I just think it's probably a bit early for him. And
I make that absolutely right. I don't. The thing is, I am a bit old school when it comes to my captains. I do like somebody who's got a bit of vocal. I do like centre back as a captain. Is he too nice to be a proper captain, Benji?
I mean, he's too inexperienced, number one. Good God, I mean, no, I'm with you. I think Tonali should be captain. I mean, the only thing is, like Adrian said, is it too early? Because I don't know if that would have an adverse effect on the players that were already at the club. You know, bringing in a player and then making it. It's happened before, but you know, I suppose in this modern age of football, everyone's a little bit of a snowflake, so you got to be a bit careful, don't you? But yeah, the very fact that Archie was made captain for me is just nonsensical. Like you said, you know. What is he, 19? Very strange, mate.
Shows how much faith he's got in the player. So that must give the player great confidence as well. I just want to talk about one of the subs that come on, in case people don't. Miracle Adiwole. I mean, he can play anywhere down the right, and he can play at right back. So that might be something that might not mean anything at all, but you know, it might mean something, right? So I just throw that in there, right? We're going to do the fun section, right? Now, the chat can join in. And I'm doing this because I don't want to do transfers, right? And I normally do it if we get we usually find enough to talk about and keep it interesting, Spurs Diehards. But
I do just have to say, Adrian, I'm very sorry. I know you don't want to talk about it. Marmouche and Doku came off injured today during the Charity Shield.
Well, also I know we differ on Savinho. We'll all support wherever he comes in, obviously, but he put a transfer request in 19 days ago. 19 days ago, right? And scrubbed all his social media stuff, right? There's had little thumbs up with Xavi Simons because they played together before in the past. All the indications are of this weekend they'll still be finalised. Don't think he'd be in. He'd probably have his medical and be registered, but he's not going to start against Brentford. There's new players like they start on the bench, don't they? I've said, clip it on the show yesterday. I said, clip it. He's coming in, right? The Gakpo one, I think he'll come because Liverpool are going to get Barcola.
Wait a minute. But then if we add into that mix, right, 19 days ago, deal hasn't been done, right? He's clearly got there's clearly a bro relationship,
Bromance.
Bromance. Thank
you.
There
you go, buddy.
There you go. Thank you very much, mate. Thank you, Ali. But with Xavi, yeah. And then,
but they could play more.
And then what I've been worried about, which is, will something come and trip the bloody deal up?
I think all the bridges are burnt between the players. You can bring Marmouche and Foden in. You've got a Monga. I mean, all this them looking. I'm not going with the fact that they're even looking for a replacement. So we'll see how it goes. I think he's a done deal this week. I don't know what the others think. There's other rumours about Sousa going out of Porto's. There's been conversation, stuff like that. We'll see how those others pan out. We're more concerned with the forward line, aren't we? Let's be fair.
Based on what, Savinho? But based on what, my man?
What, Savinho?
Yes.
Well, I always base it on logic. And logic is if you put a transfer request in 19 days ago, you're not happy at your football club, even though you were given a new contract, right? If you then scrub all your social media to Man City, that to me is logical reasoning. That's what I always substantiate what I have to say. It doesn't mean that Rain don't make good points. No one's disputing what he says. And Bikey, you'd saying this deal's not getting done, or you saying it's not. We'll find out. And if it gets done, we're all going to support the player. Look, we don't buy the players, devise the tactics, or pick the team, do we? So I do find it, well, when people are young, I mean, like young fans, I mean, you know what they're like. They'll argue with a potato, won't they? So I mean, like you're in that situation. Like when we're a bit more mature here, and I just use reasoning. Now I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, I'm in the mud. Right? I've been in the mud before, loads of times. There's players in the academy. I thought Niall John would go and make it. I thought Santiago would make it. They're both playing in the Spanish second division. But because it was an all concrete under 21 side, you can't help but like it's easy to get deceived when your team are just sweeping all the sides, So and I've made mistakes on players, but I'm absolutely certain this deal gets done. I'd be surprised if it's not all agreed before Tuesday even. Because I heard the conversation this weekend. Yeah.
I'm obsessed with Savinho. I think he's a wonderful talent. I really do.
Yeah, goals is the issue.
You know what? We've seen it in Spain. I think he's capable of goals. I just think he's been played wrong. But the only thing, I know you don't want to get into a conversation. I just want to say this. Everything you said regarding everything you said regarding the player, I completely agree with. He wants to come to Spurs, no doubt, no doubt in my mind. But that's not the issue for me. It's the clubs, and I don't think Tottenham. Right, I don't think Tottenham want their pants pulled down. I genuinely think they really are asking for about 80, 85 million, and Spurs won't go that far. So the player can want to come all he wants, but I just don't think anything's going to happen between.
Money's irrelevant to me if the quality is in the player. Is he an upgrade?
Sure.
Yes. Does he score enough goals in the Premier League? No. Right. I won't defend the indefensible, but the same season is a definite upgrade. Definite upgrade. His ball carries, take-ons, right, are excellent when you go and look at his chest and his dribbling. There is 3 strengths, right? He needs like goal ratio and all that.
Adrian, we're not debating his quality or lack of or whatever that. All we're debating is, will Man City do the deal?
Yeah, they will.
Something
has to give, either City or Tottenham, and I just don't think it will.
And let's face it, the reality is, Man City do not need our money. We can offer them 100.
At the same time,
we could offer them 100. We could offer them 120 million, and it would not move the dial a jot. The money to them is irrelevant, except maybe as a power move.
But then you're keeping an unhappy player. We let Spence go because he didn't want to play. We let Romero go. We let them go quick, right? We let them go quick. We knew Romero was going. We weren't so sure whether Spence would be persuaded to stay, but we let them go. So City, Maresca, he didn't want him to go, right? So they try to dig in, hoping they can hold on to him. They gave him another contract, right? We'll see how this pans out, but they gave him another contract, bit more money, that sweetens the player, and after a while, the same issues raise their head again because he's not getting the game time. He's not happy, right? We know they can bring in Phil Foden and Marmoush if these 2 players you're saying are injured or got knocks.
Marmoush was one of those players who got a knock.
All right, well, you got Semenyo and Doku. So and if they've got slight knock, you pull them off in a community shield. Pull them off, you take them off, right? So
but we can't control City. We can't go to City and say you need to give us Savio because you can do this, that, and the other. We can just look at the way that they're behaving and the way that and it is weird because with Palmer, they just went, "You're not happy, right? We'll sell you," and it was out. But the thing is, and I see a lot of people do this. They say something and they think it's a slam dunk logic, and what they don't realise is that what they're saying can be taken in a different way. So an example here, Adrian, is you're saying they won't keep an unhappy player.
I don't believe that.
And at the same time, he handed in a transfer request 19 days ago.
Yeah.
And he's still there. So for me, I'm hearing that and I'm trying to be unbiased. And in my view, they're clearly not if they're very clear that he's unhappy and we're clear that we want him, then why is there 2.5 weeks?
Fine, but
you
know as well as I do, those two. Now we don't know what goes on behind the scenes with the deal. We don't even know when they meet. I was told and assured that last week, and this comes through the Athletic, not through me, right? That there would be formal meetings. Now, when you put that word formal meetings, these are face-to-face meetings, not phone meetings over the phone and all that meeting. So they obviously met last week. So during those 19 days. It's not like we were having conversations for Man City. For whatever reason, I do not know, Rain. We don't know. We can only speculate. Now, from last season, it's taken a year, right? Now, look, I don't know, but it hasn't because once he wasn't coming last season, that's buried until the transfer window comes around. Then it becomes a question of who are we going for? Well, we know we got Tonali. We know we've had a quiet period after a very successful early period and window. But
on Savio and getting the deal done, the Spence deal was done in 3 days.
Yeah.
Why was the Spence deal done in 3 days? Because you had 3 parties: selling club, buying club, player, who all just wanted to get a deal done. So the deal gets done. The deal gets done. With the Savio thing, you've got 3 parties, and you've clearly got 2, us and Savio, who want the deal to get done. Clearly, undisputable, right? but then you've got the third party who is behaving like a you know,
Sometimes,
who is putting an anchor
when
around
you're
this
doing more than
deal.
one transfer deal, sometimes there's 5 parties, right? Because what the clubs
Yeah,
do,
even worse.
Yeah, well, no. This was what happened with Porro. What clubs do is, because Levy went and clinched that deal then, right? Went over and clinched that deal. What the clubs do, they actually have negotiators that they employ to talk to the other player, to the club and the other player, and they'll have negotiators as well. And this they include the agents. So sometimes there's 5 parties involved, right, in these deals.
Yeah.
Right?
But ultimately it comes down to 3
Don't
parties.
worry. If I'm right,
However they're being represented, it ultimately comes down to 3 parties, and I hope that we get this deal across the line, because it does feel like we put all our eggs in one basket.
and I won't come at anyone who's disagreed with me either, because I don't do that. You know, this is
We want to be wrong, Adrian. We want to be wrong. I mean,
Yeah.
we're not saying this because we want to
No,
be
no,
right.
no.
It's,
I won't do that. I won't do it with any player. I don't.
Can
do
I ask
that.
a theoretical question just quickly
Go on.
around that? Look, after that result today, Man City, they looked god awful, to be honest, today. There was zero creativity. They looked off the pace. They looked almost disinterested. But do you reckon there's any chance that because of that result coming right now where it has come, that they might be tempted to go to market again and go big?
Absolutely.
And if they do, maybe then they will have to release Savinho, right? Because
I could.
And Philip, that's probably our best chance. So Barcola to Liverpool has hit the buffers a little bit, and he would be absolutely perfect. He would be an absolute upgrade.
I'll tell you, it's proven
at City, and yes, you know, that kind of deal would absolutely unlock. So
didn't City sell Tajani Reinders as well, which I thought was incredibly strange.
I stand corrected. I think he's still there.
Oh, yeah. City have done some strange business. I thought Tajani Reinders was pretty good last season. They only bought him last season.
Well, they're after
City moving
Fernandes
weird.
at Chelsea, didn't they? Can you see him, like, if we go for Savino, I could see him going for Pedro Neto now that Morgan Rogers is at Chelsea. I could see him going for Pedro Neto. And I would take Pedro Neto as well as Savino. I would, right? But that's just my taste on players. But like, yeah. No, look, we know this week a lot of dominoes are going to fall. Clubs wanting to do business, perhaps all their business or some of their business. It's going to happen. They will like to get players in. There'll still be business done up until the 1st of December. So you've still got, what's the date today? The 16th. You've still got 15 days in the window. Is it 15? Yeah.
Something like that, yeah.
No, we got to get all, yeah. So there will be business done. Especially if any team gets injuries in the first games of the season, they're going to go straight in the window, and then they'll get charged the earth for anyone they're after. No, it's good. We see it pans out. Look, we all want to see the squad upgraded, because we're not sure. Look, I think we're undercooked going into the season. I think another 2 weeks. We needed about another 2 weeks. And then we would definitely have had you'd then be confident that Porro, VDV, and Maddison and Fernandes would be ready to start this season. I don't think they are. You might see them on the bench against Brentford, right?
Fernandes is fine, Aid. He's absolutely fine. He's played the last.
We're all waiting. You're going to drool over those two in midfield, right?
Oh,
he's as spiteful as Rain said that Tonali can be. You go and watch videos of Fernandes sticking it in for West Ham, right? And I think, and they've both got pace and bite. They can both run at about 34 kilometers an hour, and so.
I'm going to flip what you've said. I know that we're undercooked, and I think that there's going to be movement in the next week or two. But and at the moment, one is opinion and one is fact. And the fact is, we are absolutely desperate for forwards. We've got one left winger and one striker.
It's not even upgrading, Rain, is it? We actually just need bodies at this point.
It's just depth. I'm beyond getting quality. We just need depth.
Yeah, I don't panic buys.
We are hoping that things are going to move, because it has been the stalest summer. We have been kiboshed because we are the club that has done the work, done the business, and we've been kiboshed by a dry window when nobody else is buying.
Do you want to hear something disgusting as well, Rain? This season is one of the lowest net spends we've actually spent in a transfer window for quite some time. Go figure. Go figure.
No, I've done it on
we're down
AI.
to 52.
Yeah, I've done it on AI. And like, if we were going to be awful and we sold a few players, we could come out making a profit. That would be ridiculous. Right, Kev, you haven't said nothing. What's your take? And Phil, and I will do this fun section. Right, go on.
What's my take? I didn't think we were debating transfers. I've got no opinion on whether Man City are going to sell to us or not. When it happens, if it happens, then I might say something.
Okay, fair enough. Right, okay. Right. You can join in
and
the chat.
Kev, how do you think about our forward line?
It's crap at the moment.
What forward line?
What I say is we shouldn't have sold Lancashire, should we? But there we go. It's what's done at the moment. I mean, and if we're going to buy someone, we'll buy someone. If no one's going to sell to us, we won't buy someone, and we'll have to struggle with what we got, won't we?
And I think if we can't get anybody, if nobody, you can't buy something unless somebody wants to sell it. And if we've got to
know. So
right, and then we've got to keep Mikey Moore. I don't want us, I don't want us letting him going away on loan and leaving us short because, I mean, Kev, the way that I put it is we've got a real opportunity this season when you see the work that we've done to change our defence, when you see the great work we've done with midfield, it would be so disappointing if this season was let down because we didn't get some depth up top. We had a couple of injuries and it left us light.
I totally agree. But we are where we are at the moment, and if we can't force City to sell to us, we can't force City to sell to us, can we? So we just have to wait and see.
Right, we're going to do this, right? It's good that I mean, what I love about the fan base is that they get excited and passions run high. We're a bit more mature in this channel. Every other channel going, there's always falling and stuff like that. Which, I ain't knocking it. It just shows that the fans have got passion and want to have their say, right? Now, where are we, banners, Adrian? Okay, I'm going to start with you, Phil. Right, for those of you 380 of you viewing us on various channels, which is fantastic. If you could hit the subscribe button in the bottom right corner, give the video a thumbs up. It really helps the channel, and I'll keep bringing you out good content and great guests. And those of you watching on playback, big up to everyone in the chat channel for your questions and comments as well. Can't thank you enough for your loyal support. Right, so do a fun section of 5 questions, right? We do question one first, naturally go around the panel, then 2, then 3, then 4. Then I'll tell you about the last channel, room 18-2, where you can have a bit of revenge and spite at people. So, Rain, how did you become a Spurs fan?
I've already done this a couple of times.
Have you? Okay, well, that's good if you've done it a couple of times.
Well, this is cool. I'm excited about this. Go on.
Join in the chat.
Okay, I will come out, right? I was I grew up in West London, and my football heritage was just going to non-league football. That's what I used to do.
He's froze or I've froze, or you've all froze.
No,
I can hear him. You frozen? Oh yeah, you're back, Andrew.
Yeah, going to non-league football. Round the corner, so like from age like 6 or 7, back in the early 80s, I'd toddle on down on my bike to local non-league grounds, which is now a housing estate, and I'd go and play football. There. One of my mates who used to go along with, his dad was a massive Spurs fan, and he was absolutely horrified when I went into the club shop, which sold second-hand shirts and programs, all this kind of stuff. And I didn't. I was like 7 years old, right? And I bought an Arsenal shirt. And
Get him out. Get him out.
And
Get him
you're
out. Get him off
admitting
the
that
stream.
on Spurs
Don't
dialed
speak to him
channel,
again.
He was horrified, and he made me throw it in the bin, and made me and on a scrap of paper in our classroom, made me sign a contract that I would support Spurs forever and ever and ever. Age 7. I still think of that guy. I don't know where he is. Glenn.
Okay.
I still think of Glenn. Although Glenn then did take me. Favourites. Oh, you haven't got it here. Glenn then did take me and one of my mates who I do still meet up with. He still comes to White Hart Lane to the 1987 FA Cup final along with his dad. So that's how I became a Spurs fan. I then found out later on that huge swathes of my family who were in Tottenham. I've got a massive family, and a whole branch of my family are big Spurs fans.
Okay. Phil, how did you become a Spurs fan?
Oh well, I've never bought an Arsenal top.
Yeah.
That's cool.
The shame.
I'm not sure. I'm
I
not
don't-
sure the Brute and Ajax will get rid of the stain on Spurs diehards after that confession.
I don't even, literally the only red item of clothing that I've got, and I've probably ever had, is like an England away top. I think that's it. I don't wear red, but anyways, how did I become a Spurs fan? Oh yeah, well I think at school growing up, I grew up just outside of London, West Side, Berkshire, and at school, basically, pretty much everyone was Liverpool fans back in those days. And I remember one day when I was probably 6 or 7, it must have been in Glenn Hoddle's final season, I reckon. I think it was 1987, probably. I remember Glenn Hoddle scoring that goal. I don't know if it was against Oxford or someone. The last goal he scored, right, where he basically walked through
the team, yeah.
As Watford, wasn't it?
Watford even, yeah. So I remember that goal, and I remember as well in that season that Tottenham beat Liverpool in the league, and at school it was like the biggest topic that someone had managed to beat Liverpool, because Liverpool were winning everything generally, weren't they, around then? And then a couple of us at school were the cool guys, I guess, or maybe not the cool guys, I don't know, but we all decided to become Tottenham fans and grow the fan base, and then that's how it started. And I think when I then went to secondary school, actually, probably it was 30% of all kids at the school were Spurs fans, 30% were Arsenal, and the remaining Liverpool and Man United. Obviously, 0 Chelsea fans, because they were crap, weren't they? Forever, pretty much. They almost went bust about 25 times.
Yeah, we don't like Chelsea because we're human.
Yeah, that as well. So yeah, that's how I became a Spurs fan, I guess.
Benji, how did you become a Spurs fan?
I was made in a Tottenham Hotspurs factory, mate.
Okay.
Forged
in a.
I was forged in the fires of White Hart Lane. I can't tell you when it happened. I swear to God, I can't give you a particular reason why. Right, something. I feel like I was born a Tottenham fan. Listen, my earliest memories, again, so I can't give you a reason as to why I'm a Spurs fan, but my earliest memories were in front of my nan's fireplace. I was drawing the emblem, and my second memory is I was at school one day and it was an assembly. I must have been 6, maybe. And I remember I overheard a couple of people talking next to me about someone called Teddy Sheringham, right? And I remember sitting there thinking, who the hell calls their kid Teddy? What a crazy name. I mean, I liked it. It was cool. And again, obviously, I began to learn a bit more about Tottenham. And then aside from that, let's have a look here. I can remember being in my bedroom probably at the age of 7 when, God, I'm old, with tape players at the time. I think someone had brought me a Tottenham season tape or whatever it was. And I can remember I would blow up a balloon, play the Spurs games on my TV, well, my crappy little and practice volleys pretending I was the players. So yeah, I couldn't give you a reason as to why. I was convinced. I'm convinced I was just born a Spurs fan, mate. It's a weird one, but yeah, that's my earliest memories, mate. That's all I've got for you, I'm afraid.
That's okay. Kev, how did you become a Spurs fan?
Family. I mean, I was born in Palmer's Green. I suppose you could almost say it was midway between Arsenal and Spurs, but my father's side of family came from Hackney. So yeah, basically born the season before the double. If you're talking old, I know Adrian's older, but yeah, it's family really. and I've just pulled this off of my. Oh, you probably can't see it because of the. But I've got a VHS of the 1981 FA Cup final sitting on my shelf.
Wow.
100.
Good Lord, that's crazy.
Yeah, on the replay. Yeah. So with me, I mean, I was carried on relative shoulders. I mean, like, I actually see the double side play. I was actually at a double side celebration at Edmonton. Didn't really have a clue what was going on. You're just too young to appreciate the enormity. You want to be at least in your mid-teens or 20 when you create a piece of history like that, and then I progressed from shoulders when I got too heavy to a stall in the shelf stand with relatives. Can't even remember. I can't remember the first game I attended. I mean, but yeah, I mean, wouldn't change anything for the world. I remember Jurgen Klinsmann turned around and said something very telling, and you'll all appreciate this because of the stick we take off, the biased stick we take off the media, certain sections of it and all that. Klinsmann turned around and he said, there's something unique about this football. Now, it's very hard to put your finger on it. Like you were alluding to then, oh, shit.
We can still hear you when you pause.
Right, okay, like you were alluding to then, right? It's in the ether, and you have to be a Spurs fan to just realise, to sense what it is. It's just in the ether, part of being part of the Spurs tribe, yeah? So that was it. So moving on, just a favourite Spurs win, Rain? Just one? Recent or past, it doesn't matter.
So Liverpool 4-1 at Wembley.
Oh, yeah.
It was...
Lovren got hooked, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a period of time where we really thought, this is it. After years of underachieving and are we going to do it? It was that sort of short period under Poch, those couple of years at Wembley, really, and that was just absolutely fantastic performance. We just crushed them, yeah.
Phil, a favourite Spurs win?
This time I'm going to go for an away game that I had the pleasure of visiting when I was 15, probably. Yeah, I must have been 15. Spurs away at Anfield, quarterfinals of the FA Cup.
Klinsmann?
Teddy and Klinsmann won the show. I think we won 2-0 or 2-1 from memory.
Yeah.
On the way to the final, where we obviously didn't quite make it. But that game was awesome.
Benji, a favourite Spurs win?
I'm going to be that guy. I think I'm slightly younger than you guys, so I haven't seen the glory days of Tottenham Hotspurs, but I'm going to go very plainly, very clearly. That Champions League semi-final win we got against Ajax, for me, that encapsulated everything that Tottenham was, and it was probably the closest time in my life I've ever come, close to shedding a tear over a football game. Watching our manager just in tears nearly got me going. It was horrendous. Backs were against the wall. It wasn't going to happen. It didn't look like it was going to happen. It was an underdog story. And then Lucas Moura in the final. Oh my! It was just. It gives me goosebumps now thinking about it. It was sublime. Yeah. So for me, that semi-final against Ajax, unbelievable game.
Kev, favourite Spurs win?
Well, I'm not going to go for one I've ever seen, not even a video of or anything like that, because saying I was born a long time ago, I'm going for the first game that Spurs played after I was born. It was an FA Cup replay in 1960. Spurs 13, Crewe Alexandra 2. That just sort of sums it up for me, I think.
I think it was 7-1 at half time. That was in 60-61 as well.
That was in 60. It was January. It was February 1960, so it wasn't in the double year. But
yeah, because in Bill Nicholson's first game in charge, we played. First game was Everton at home. Funny enough, talking about big scores, my throat's going. Yeah, and the Spurs manager resigned that morning, and Nicholson took on charge, and we played Everton, and we beat them 10-4. Yeah.
And there's a quote after that game from a little chap called Tommy Harmer.
Who said,
we won't win 10-4 every week, boss.
Yeah. I was watching Enfield play a game because they were sort of a second team before they split into two clubs. And my mate Ronnie Alves there, who played for Millwall, Brighton under Cloughie and all that. And his boy was at Spurs, Greg Alves. And he was playing for Aylesbury, and I was at Enfield watching them. And actually, Greg's goal kept Enfield up on, strange it was, on goal difference on that day. But Tommy Armour was there, diminutive player. He was a baller, you know. And I shook his hand. I shook Tommy Armour's hand. Right, next question.
Yeah, just don't know who we're talking about, do you?
Yeah, no one's got a clue what I'm talking about now. Which they don't usually have anyway, you know what I mean? So, right, okay. Question 3. Rain, a favourite Spurs goal out of the hundreds? Go on, pick one.
Bale against West Ham. You know, when where quite late. Was it quite late in the season? And he picked up the ball, shifted it, and bang! And the whole stadium went absolutely mental.
Was that at home then? Because I remember him scoring the late one virtually near an extra time away at West Ham. He scored the banger.
The one that I'm remembering is
that one.
Pardon?
Yeah, the one where he like shifted it on his other foot and then pinged it.
Yeah,
top corner. That was.
I mean, the thing is that period. Bale was banging them in
every game. Every game was
where it was. Who cares what game it was? Whereas away or at home anyway.
But yeah, picture Bale goal.
Okay, Phil. I know it's late in Germany. He's an hour in front, right? Unless they've changed the clocks or something. A favourite Spurs goal?
I'm going to go with, again, one from my teenage years at the Lane. Darren Anderton, long range curler against Leeds, I think it was, from like 30 yards, 35 yards. Do you remember that one?
No, I don't actually, but I
absolute Darren Anderton won the goal.
He was one of my favourite players, though.
He just put arms in the
played
air.
over 400 odd games, yeah. Ridiculous. Benji, a favourite Spurs goal?
This is a hard one. I'm stuck between. Because there's so many, mate. There is so many, so many good ones. I'm stuck between two at the moment. One probably again.
One for another 3.
Yeah, definitely. Do I go with? I'm going to be boring. I was going to go with Lamella. Do you remember that Rabona he did? The audacity of that goal. Yeah, that was. All right, I'm going to go with Tottenham versus Arsenal. Was it White Hart Lane? I think it was White Hart Lane. Do you remember when Harry Kane had that mask and he shot from an impossible angle? Yeah, he shot from an impossible angle. He somehow got that top bins. He ripped his mask off. The whole stadium just erupted. I guess I'm going to have to go with that one. I mean, look, Jesus, Heung-min Son has scored unbelievable goals. But yeah, I'm going to have to go with that one. Sorry. There's too many, mate. It's a hard question.
I was in line with that shot. I was in Paxton.
No.
I was in line with that. It was
you lucky git, mate. Yeah, great goal. Great goal.
Favourite Spurs goal, Kev?
Well, I mean, I've done this a few times, so I'm gonna, as I've got the picture of the celebration behind me, I'm going to go for Gascoigne's free kick against Arsenal in the semi-final of the Cup.
1991, yeah.
It's a good one.
Yeah, I could pick so many. I'm actually going to go for a crucial goal. I'm going to go for Graham Roberts' equaliser in the second leg of the UEFA Cup final at White Hart Lane. You know,
Yep.
where we pounded them at one time trying to get a goal on parts of that game, and eventually it come, and it was the sort of goal that was going to come anyway before we won the penalty shootout. Yeah, and Danny Thomas missed his penalty. And we thought, that's it, we're screwed. And the whole crowd, again, the Spurs fan base. I mean, then all singing, that boomed out. There's only one Danny Thomas, but then Parks saved that penalty, and we lifted the trophy. Right. Mm-hmm. You can pick. This is probably an easier question, right? A favourite Spurs player, anyone. You will have a list of them, but
in my youth, my favourite Spurs player when I started supporting Spurs. Well, you know, I must admit, when I was a kid, I didn't really watch. Well, football wasn't on the TV, and I grew up in West London, so so I watched the football that I was watching was non-league football. But the player who I really liked as a kid was Richard Gough. That's quite a central defender, but I just thought he was absolutely fantastic, and I was absolutely gutted when he didn't stay with us. But that, and I guess that was the type of player that I was. I always gravitated towards sort of defensive midfield or centre or defender. So that's who I sort of appreciated. Yeah.
Phil, favourite Spurs goal? Player, sorry.
Well, yeah, obviously I've answered this quite a few times, but I'm just going to go based on like one season probably as well. That player in that season, I absolutely loved him. And I know he left under acrimonious circumstances a bit maybe, but I absolutely loved Berbatov in that first season after signing from Leverkusen. I've rarely seen like a striker just come in and score unbelievable goal after unbelievable goal, like finishes. Each goal was just like better than the last one. And I absolutely loved him that season. And yeah, it was a shame that probably the lure of United at that time and the money, you know, tempted him away. But I loved him in that season.
Benji?
This is an easy one for me. Absolute sublime player, solid as a rock, loyal. For me, I'm going to go with Sol Campbell. Brain space. What? No, mine's a little bit of a strange one. And I couldn't give you
on Spurs time.
I couldn't give you a particular reason, but Jermaine Defoe. I just gravitate towards him. I'm not sure why. I think he had it a bit tough at Spurs at times. He wasn't, during his career at Spurs, he wasn't always played. And I know he was a fantastic trainer. And I know people would walk up to him and say, you know, why aren't you playing? But Jermaine Defoe, I think, was criminally underrated. He was a fantastic finisher. But yeah, for me, JD.
He just had that sort of charisma that you just liked him. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think all the women just wanted to give him a hug. You know what I mean? It was like that.
He was a great guy, man. I'm
going to pick Chris Waddle this time. I mean, I don't think he knew which way he was going to turn when he had the ball on the wing. I certainly didn't know whether he was going to go left or right. I mean, if ever a man needed a haircut, it was Chris Waddle. Like, you know, he looked like a sheep, didn't he? When he, you know, but like, what a player! What a player! Yeah.
Am I allowed to do one then, Adrian?
Oh, sorry, Kev.
In the past, I've gone for the 70s, 60s and 70s when I've been growing up. So I've had Jennings, I've had Bill, I've had Knowles, then I've progressed a bit and I had Hoddle. But I'm going to go back to someone who doesn't need a haircut, and that's Alan Gilzean.
Oh, yeah.
Sublime header of the ball, skillful, everything.
And why don't we do? I mean, corners now. Why have we got the man on the near post flicking the ball on? You couldn't defend that. who can defend it. I mean, our set pieces would generally, we'll go on that another time, right? We'll talk about, yeah. So like, I've done mine. So now, room 1882. For those of you that have read books in the past, and if you read George Orwell's 1984, in the book, there was room 101. Room 101, you didn't want to be taken in room 101 and be interrogated, right? So, and then in later years, the BBC started a program called Room 101, where guests could bring 3 items to Room 101, and they'd be asked questions on each item, and then the host would decide if 1, 2, 3, or none of those items would be allowed in Room 101. Well, as for Room 82 is where you, as guests on this show, can put any football player, pundit, referee, anything football related in there that you hate, any bad decision made in football, right? So you get a choice. No politics, right? We don't go there. So, Rain, who would you like to stick in room 1882?
It was Frank Skinner, West Brom fan, who did room 101. I'm just going to put VAR in there. I think it adds nothing. Takes away. I've always advocated that referees are probably the human beings on the football pitch who make the least amount of mistakes, and yet we focus on their mistakes more than the players. In the last 15 years, you know, I don't know when that switch happened. The referee was always in the black, but I always remember talking about the players, and it absolutely, you know, seems to have been a massive switch, and that's what I would do.
Answer David Tarr before I come up to Phil. I'd pick Glenn because I think Oddle was the best player England have ever produced, right? But when people ask me, I used to hit them back, who's the best player ever played for Spurs? I should say the Spurs double side. But if I'm picking a player, it has to be Glenn Hoddle. Phil, who are you throwing in room 101? Room 1882.
Yeah, I think on previous occasions I've put people like Sol, Campbell, and Arsene Wenger in there. So I'm going to pick Martin Keown this time. Because I absolutely can't stand that numpty. In all ways. Whether it's on Talk Sport or on commentary or anything else. Absolute idiot.
Hotspur man, good call. Diamond Lights, Glenn Hoddle and Waddle singing that song. Right? Go and click on it on YouTube if you've never heard it. It's not that awful, right? But yeah. Who's going in room 1882, Benji?
Do you know what? When you say that, I'm sure there are plenty of other things I can think of. But there was only one name that springs to my mind, and that's Daniel Levy.
Okay.
Harsh.
Look, listen, the guy, from a business standpoint, is probably one of the best chairmen there's ever been. But when I think of Levy, I think of all the things he did wrong at the club, the players we missed out on, the grace of Tottenham over the years on the football pitch. Yeah, for me, Daniel Levy, bye-bye. Take care.
I'll back you up on that. My opinion has always been great chairman look after the 15 to 25 year strategic view, not a great CEO, and it's a real shame that we never had that separation. Unfortunately.
I mean, the thing is, Rain, he made the club bigger without winning anything, which really is quite impressive. But just the players that we could have signed, but he didn't want to because of an extra 5-10 million here. And I could reel off some names. Good God, I could reel off some names that would have changed the course of Tottenham's recent history. For me, no, I'm not a fan.
Well, as you were mentioning Hoddle and Waddle just now, something just sprang into my mind, that bloody Arsenal song, North London, whatever it is. That can go in flipping bin. But the other one I was going to say was the linesman at the Man United Spurs game who couldn't keep up with Pedro Mendes' shot.
Oh, the goal yard over the well, I knew. Yeah.
Oh,
That was all.
yeah. What a goal that was. Good. Who was in goal that day? Tom Carroll, wasn't it, for them?
I don't know, I can't remember.
It was Carroll, Roy Carroll.
Yeah, Roy Carroll, that's the one.
Right, yeah.
Well, we've had some good calls in the chat, and we appreciate you. You know. Yeah.
Well, I don't know about all of them, Mia.
I'm going to go for, I can't remember the ref's name, and I don't know who's doing the VAR, but to award that penalty for that ball that struck Sissoko in the chest in the Champions League final was an utter disgrace. So that lot involved in that, they can all go in room 1882. Right, and with that, we're going to end the show. Otherwise, it'll soon be midnight, and I know Phil's like he's an hour in front of us. Right? Been a great show, guys. You contribute excellent information. Yeah. So big thanks to my guest. Big thanks to everyone in the chat. Thank you for your questions, joining in with the fun section. We only do that. We don't do that every week. We do it rarely. And we've got over 400 of you on various platforms. We hate to leave you, but you can really help us. You've stayed with us all this time. If you hit that subscribe button in the bottom right hand corner, that would be brilliant. Yeah. And if you subscribe to the channel, it'd be even better. Yeah. And you'll have we really appreciate that. Like I say, Benji's link I'll post it again. Is here. He's got a new channel with good content. Get over there. It's also in the comments section. I always do that before a beginning of the show, so you can find it there as well. It's easy to get. We've got someone's comment here. Oh, good show, lads. Well, glad you appreciate it, Osborne, right? So yeah, So with that, thanks you all. Thanks. A big up to everyone who watches the show on playback, because we do get lots of views on playback. The last video we've got about 800 odd views or something. We've only been going a couple of years, but all good. I'm sure Phil wants to go to bed. And with this, I'll play out a different bit of music this week, which I wrote. And if any of you want to see me in the back room, you can afterwards, okay? Great show, guys.
We are tough until we die. We are tough until we die. Spurs die hard, heart and soul. We are tough until we die. We are tough until we die. Spurs die hard, heart and soul. We are tough until we die. We are tough until we die. Spurs die hard, heart and soul. Lily white and navy blue. Top until we die, we are top until we die. Spurs die hard, heart and soul. Lily white and navy blue. Top until we die, we are top until we die. Spurs die hard, heart and soul. We are top until we die, we are top until we die. Spurs die hard, heart and soul. We are top until we die, we are top until we die. Spurs die hard, heart and soul. Lily white and navy blue. We are tough until we die. We are tough until we die. Spurs die hard, heart and soul. Lily white and navy blue. We are tough until we die. We are tough until we die. Spurs die hard, heart and soul. Lily white and navy blue.